The eternal guardian of the Galactic Technical Institute had stood motionless at the Academy's entrance for 1,358 years, a masterpiece of predecessor technology. The 30-foot-tall mechanized sentinel was both a monument and a mystery. Every engineering student in the galaxy knew the legend. Whoever could make the Guardian move would receive the predecessor archive, humanity's holy grail of lost technology. Brilliant minds from 1,000 worlds had tried. The Cerebrans spent decades analyzing its quantum signatures. The mechanoids attempted direct interface protocols. The Vorthans tried reverse engineering its power source. All failed. Then Jake Thompson, a second-year human exchange student majoring in mechanical engineering with a minor in whatever works, walked up to it with a toolbox and a six-pack of beer. "That's alcohol," Professor Kix observed, his 12 eyes focusing disapprovingly. "A recreational toxin. How could that possibly help with predecessor technology?" Jake cracked open a can, took a long sip, and grinned. "It's not for the Guardian. It's for me. I think better when I'm relaxed." The gathered crowd of students snickered. Another delusional human, they thought. The Etherian betting pools gave him 30 seconds before he gave up. Jake walked around the Guardian slowly, not scanning it with advanced equipment, just looking. He kicked its foot. The clang echoed across the courtyard. "Yep," he said to himself. "That's the problem right there." "What problem?" demanded Zektor, the Thraxian who'd spent 3 years studying the Guardian. "I've analyzed every molecule." "It's stuck," Jake interrupted, pulling out what looked like a primitive metal can. "WD-40. If it doesn't move, and it should, use this." The laughter was immediate and universal. A human thought he could solve a millennium-old mystery with primitive lubricant? Jake ignored them, crawling under the Guardian's massive frame. "See, you're all thinking too complex. Sometimes old problems need old solutions. My grandpa taught me that. He fixed tractors. This is technology beyond our comprehension," Kix protested. "Nah," Jake's muffled voice replied from beneath the Guardian. "This is just a really big, really old machine that's been standing in the weather for over 1,000 years. You know what happens to metal joints after that long? They seize up." The sound of spraying echoed from beneath, then hammering, then what sounded suspiciously like duct tape being applied. "The predecessors were geniuses," Jake continued, emerging covered in some kind of ancient grime. "But they were also people, right? People build things that break. And looking at this beauty, I'm betting they never expected it to stand still for 13 centuries. He pulled out a wrench that looked like it belonged in a museum. "The knee joint's frozen. The hydraulic fluid, or whatever they used, has basically turned to cement. The power source is fine, the computing system's fine, but it literally can't move because everything's locked up." Jake disappeared again, this time climbing up the Guardian's leg. More spraying, more hammering. At one point, he appeared to be hitting the Guardian's hip joint with a sledgehammer while yelling, "Come on, you beautiful piece of junk." 3 hours passed. The crowd grew. Even senior professors abandoned their classes to watch the human perform what looked like mechanical assault on the priceless artifact. Then Jake climbed down, finished his 3rd beer, and pulled out what he called jumper cables. "What are you doing?" Kix asked, genuinely alarmed. "Giving it a jump start. The power core's fine, but the initialization sequence is stuck in a loop because it can't complete the startup mobility check. So we bypass it." He attached the cables to his personal vehicle, a rusty human transport that shouldn't have been allowed on Academy grounds, and to 2 contact points on the Guardian's foot. "Everyone might want to step back," Jake suggested, revving the engine. The Guardian's eyes flickered. A grinding sound that hadn't been heard in over a millennium filled the air. Slowly, impossibly, the ancient sentinel's head turned. Then it took a step. The crowd scattered as the 30-foot Guardian moved for the first time in 1,358 years, its joints creaking but functional. It took 3 steps forward, turned to look directly at Jake, and opened its chest cavity. Inside was the predecessor archive. Jake reached for another beer, realized he'd dropped it when the Guardian moved, and shrugged. "My professor back home always said, If it's stupid but it works, it ain't stupid. The Guardian, in perfect galactic standard, responded, "Maintenance protocol completed. Thank you, engineer." Then it walked away to find something to guard, leaving Jake holding the archive and a half-empty can of WD-40.